The Chicago Bears have officially wrapped up a busy offseason by trimming their roster down over the weekend. The team also made a major trade, acquiring Khalil Mack from the Oakland Raiders for a pair of first-round picks and 2 other future selections. General manager Ryan Pace acted quickly to hire Matt Nagy as the team's 16th head coach all-time following the firing of John Fox earlier this offseason. He has also been busy when it comes to adding new talent to the roster. At the start of free agency, he added wideouts Allen Robinson and Taylor Gabriel, tight end Trey Burton, outside linebacker Aaron Lynch, kicker Cody Parkey, and backup quarterback Chase Daniel. When the NFL draft came around, he also added 7 new players who all stand a chance of making impacts as rookies. Chicago's top 3 selections, linebacker Roquan Smith, center James Daniels and wide receiver Anthony Miller, should all be major contributors in year 1. 4th-round pick Joel Iyiegbuniwe should see some action on special teams, while 5th-round pick Bilal Nichols will be counted on to be a part of Chicago's defensive line rotation. 6th-round pick Kylie Fitz could be a diamond in the rough for Chicago and has a chance to earn serious playing time at the outside linebacker position because of the lack of overall depth at the position. Lastly, 7th-round pick Javon Wims is an impressive red zone threat who could earn playing time in a variety of different sub-packages in Nagy's West Coast scheme this season. Below is a look at what the roster looks like after the team trimmed it down to 53 players. * Note, there is a chance some of these players could be cut in the coming days to make room for other players who come available. * 1. Mitch Trubisky. 2. Chase Daniel. This one is fairly straightforward. Trubisky is the team's #1 quarterback and has been given plenty of new additions on the offensive side of the ball this season. The hope will be for him to start all 16 games this season. If for whatever reason he gets hit with the injury bug, the Bears will have Daniel as his primary backup. The longtime NFL reserve does not have much experience. 2 career starts, 78 passing attempts, 480 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Daniel does have experience in this system and is already viewed as a mentor for Trubisky. Chicago got backup Kyler Bray on Saturday following a solid preseason campaign. 1. Jordan Howard. 2. Tariq Cohen. 3. Benny Cunningham. 4. Michael Burton. Howard and Cohen were absolute locks to make the roster. No one in Bears history has rushed for more yards in their first 2 seasons than Howard, who has picked up 2,435 yards on the ground with 15 touchdowns in 2 seasons. Cohen should see more touches in year 2 with a coaching staff that better understands how to utilize him properly. He will have opportunities to make plays in the running game and as a receiver this season. Chicago liked what it saw from Cunningham and brought him back this offseason on a 1-year deal. He has value on special teams and also proved to be a reliable pass catcher out of the backfield last season. The final spot on the roster at the position will be an interesting one to watch. While not a traditional fullback, undrafted free agent Ryan Nall had some interesting qualities, but he was released. The Bears seem content with Burton as their fullback this season. 1. Allen Robinson. 2. Taylor Gabriel. 3. Anthony Miller. 4. Kevin White. 5. Javon Wims. 6. Josh Bellamy. The top of the wide receiver depth chart in 2018 looks far better than it did at any time last season. Signed in free agency to bolster the position, both Robinson and Gabriel figure to be major factors this season for the organization. Robinson is an impressive all-around wideout, while Gabriel is a speedy threat who can make big plays with the ball in his hands. Miller should see a lot of work out of the slot with opportunities to stretch it deep on the outside. Hope is still there for White to finally become something at the NFL level, but expectations should be low for the former 7th overall selection. Bellamy is not a fan favorite, but he is someone who plays well on special teams. Lastly, the Bears received some solid play from Wims in the preseason. 1. Trey Burton. 2. Adam Shaheen. 3. Deion Sims. 4. Daniel Brown. 5. Ben Broniker. This group has some potential but still has a lot of unknowns. Chicago paid Burton handsomely to come to the Bears after a handful of mediocre seasons in Philadelphia. He was stuck behind a top-level tight end in Zach Ertz and will be on a mission to prove his worth this season in Chicago. Burton is expected to be moved around a lot on offense because of his versatility. In his second preseason game against the Denver Broncos, he scored his first touchdown in a Bears uniform. Shaheen has a lot of potential but was not always used properly last season in Dow Logan's offensive scheme. He suffered an ankle injury against the Broncos, but the hope is for him to get on the field sooner rather than later. Sims does not offer a lot in terms of a pass catcher but should continue to see action as a blocking tight end in Chicago's new scheme. Brown is an intriguing name who fits in this scheme in a role similar to Burton. He also brings some special teams experience to the mix. Both Broniker and Brown give Chicago reliable special teams contributors who also played well in the preseason. 1. Charles Leno 2, James Daniels 3, Cody Whitehair 4, Kyle Long 5, Bobby Massey 6, Eric Kush 7, Bradley Sowell 8, Rashad Coward 9, Ronis Grasu. The first 5 on this list are locks to not only make the roster but be the team's starters. The real question is whether or not Daniels starts at center or left guard, with Whitehair filling in at the other spot. Leno has been improving at left tackle. Daniels was Chicago's second-round pick. Whitehair will look to get back to the form he displayed as a rookie. Long is trying to bounce back from numerous off-season surgeries, and Massey needs to show signs of improvement in his third year with the team. There is still a debate on whether Whitehair or Daniels will be the team's starting center this season. Kush is a valuable reserve on the interior of the offensive line who can play both guard spots and center. Jordan Morgan, a 2017 fifth-round pick, missed all of last year and has not been very effective this offseason. Sowell saw time last season at guard and has starting experience at left tackle. Lastly, Coward has done the impossible so far this offseason. A nose tackle last year, Coward has made the move to tackle this offseason. He has played well in the preseason in his new position. 1. Akeem Hicks 2, Eddie Goldman 3, Jonathan Bullard 4, Roy Robertson Harris 5. Bilal Nichols. Everyone at this point knows how good Hicks is in this defense. He proved last year he can be at getting after the quarterback and how he can set the edge against the run. After losing Mitch Unrain in free agency, Bullard and Robertson Harris will need to step up this coming season. The addition of Nichols in this year's draft will open up the competition at the 5 technique throughout the season. He could be a surprise to take over the starting job by midway through the season. Goldman has proven to be one of the team's unsung heroes the last few seasons. He does not put up impressive numbers, but he is a steady force in the middle of the defensive line who can more than hold his own against the run and create pressure on the quarterback. John Jenkins was a candidate to make the roster once again because he has had a solid preseason up to this point, but he was ultimately let go. Khalil Mack 1, Leonard Floyd 2, Aaron Lynch 3, Sam Acho 4, Kylie Fitz 5, Isaiah Irving. The biggest move of the offseason was the addition of Mack in a massive trade with the Oakland Raiders. He is on the roster, but the team still needs to make a move in order to open up a spot for him. No position needed more work than the outside linebacker spot. Floyd is coming off a season-ending injury from a year ago and suffered a fractured hand against the Broncos, leaving his status for Week 1 up in the air. Lynch is on a 1-year prove-it deal with the Bears and has struggled to get on the practice field in 2018. Irving showed flashes last season and appears to be a candidate to make the roster if he can also prove his worth on special teams. Fitz showed signs of productivity at Utah but was stifled by injuries in each of the last 2 seasons. If he can prove he is healthy, he could find a role as a situational pass rusher early in his career. Acho provides depth at the position and has shown the ability to not only be strong against the run, but he can also apply pressure on the quarterback. 1. Danny Trevathan 2, Roquan Smith 3, Nick Kwiatkowski 4, Joel Ayujibiunawe. Trevathan and Smith should be Chicago's starting inside linebacker duo this season, but it may take Smith some time to get into that starting role. Trevathan has been solid for the organization when healthy since signing with Chicago back in 2015. His biggest issues have all centered around injuries. Smith finally ended his 29-day holdout before the team's preseason tilt against the Broncos. He did not play in the preseason after dealing with some hamstring issues after signing with the team. If Smith is unable to get fully up to speed for the start of the season, Kwiatkowski is more than prepared to be a starter. Kwiatkowski has flashed in the past and should find a role as a situational linebacker who is strong against the run and can occasionally apply pressure to the quarterback. Iugbunawe is a raw but athletic linebacker who will be asked early in his NFL career to contribute on special teams. After missing the first 2 preseason games, he finally saw the field against the Broncos and racked up 5 tackles, 1, Kyle Fuller 2, Prince Amukamara 3, Bryce Callahan 4, Marcus Cooper 5, Sherrick McManus 6. Kevin Tolliver. The cornerback position likely will not look much different in 2018 than it did a year ago. Fuller and Amukamara are both entrenched as the starters and will be looking to building off solid campaigns from a year ago. Callahan gives the team experience and depth at the position. McManus is a special teams savant and provides depth at the position. One of the bigger surprises is that Cooper made the roster. He struggled in the preseason, but was brought back. Kevin Tolliver is someone the team has raved about since the start of the offseason. He did enough to turn himself from an undrafted free agent into a player on the 53-man roster. 1. Adrian Amos. Chapter 2, Eddie Jackson 3, Deion Bush 4, DeAndre Houston. Carson Amos came out of nowhere last season to put up a productive year for the Bears after Demps went down with an injury. He stands to once again be the team's starter at the position in 2018. Houston. Carson has developed into a solid contributor on special teams, while Bush will have to win over the coaching staff in 2018 to stay on the roster. Houston. Carson was also used occasionally as a blitzer by coordinator Vic Fangio last season. After breaking his arm in against the Broncos, he may take some time to get back onto the field. Jackson is coming off an impressive rookie campaign which saw him start all 16 games as a rookie and walk away with 2 defensive touchdowns. There is hope he can continue to show signs of improvement and push for more league-wide recognition this season. Bush has had some solid moments in the preseason and figures to be a solid backup. 1. Cody Parkey, K. 2. Pat O'Donnell, P. 3. Patrick Scales, LS. When it comes to the punter and the long snapper, not much is changing for the organization. O'Donnell was brought back by the organization this offseason and Scales is looking to revert back to old form after missing all of last year with an ACL injury. O'Donnell was previously the only one of these 3 who experiencing any sort of competition in camp. The Bears brought in rookie punter Ryan Winslow to battle for the punter job earlier in the offseason before signing long snapper Tanner Carew ahead of their game against the Broncos. O'Donnell has performed adequately, but the battle between Scales and Carew will be worth monitoring. Parkey is the biggest name in this group. A former Pro Bowler, he signed a 4-year deal with the Bears this offseason. He has made 76 of his 88 field goal attempts in his career, including 21 of his 23 attempts last season with the Miami Dolphins. He also has previous experience with new Bears special teams coordinator Chris Tabor from their time together with the Cleveland Browns in 2016.